handle that.
So if they did declare that they were going to cultivate a small amount, then they would go to another algorithm that's dispensary and cultivation.
No,
Like
they would,
another rule. set.
it would be in this rule as a dispensary, the way the amendment defines them. All
Okay.
dispensaries can grow up to 50. In these rules, we ask them to make an election up front for you to know and be able to look at what's happening and to let them make a choice on if they want that additional burden to deal with electrical codes, to deal with security of the enclosed facilities, to deal with a different level of scrutiny with regard. And that gave you that flexibility to have to give dispensaries the flexibility on whether to grow or not as a front election that would potentially affect their license fees, potentially affect how they operated from giving the paper in for you to consider.
So I guess one of the thoughts I'm having on that is, do we, and I don't know if we have the authority or power to do this, do we want any of our, at this earliest stage with the cultivation centers needing to get off the ground, and again, it's almost like a third entity. Should we not allow them initially to grow their own marijuana and cross that bridge?
The amendment
The amendment say that they can't.
The amendment
That's why I was like,
authorizes them. The amendment
I'm
authorizes.
just asking because it just seems like.
It's gonna be a tough regulation.
And it changes the finances because you're gonna have to come up a lot more money. I'm just asking as a, I don't have an opinion. I'm just trying to
Currently,
get-
the amendment authorizes all dispensaries to have that capacity. And we have asked if they regulatorily want to make that election so they don't have as many burdens with regard to how we've looked at cultivation facilities and the number of rules that are still in drafting process that go to those specifics of safety and health.
So let's say I'm gonna open a dispensary. If I'm sending an application, but I don't have any desire to actually grow my own, that application would almost be, to me, it would be, the license fee could be less, and the burden of opening that business could be less, versus if someone comes in, they want to do a cultivation plus that, then they're gonna have to put up more money, and that would have a higher burden. So will we look at that and just, as they put in an application, we just evaluate that, or do we make half of them, how do we do this?
That was part of the option to give you in the rules those lower cost entries for a pure storefront dispensary. And whether or not you want to make separate pools of the available licenses, or whether or not you want to let everyone who's in the pool have separate elections, is a choice for you.
So we have an option for that, because I thought you said that the amendment states that any dispensary could cultivate up to 50. How do we have the?
You can regulate them, and if they choose not to do that and not to have the higher fee, you aren't prohibiting it.
Okay,
They are
we're regulating,
choosing
okay.
to only have a storefront
Okay.
because they want a lower upfront. a
So
lower
we
overhead.
may have 32 dispensaries, and only 10 elect to go on to cultivate along with their dispensary.
Which may have a different
Okay,
license
with-
fee
okay,
annually,
and-
which may
okay.
have different requirements of what
Okay.
they have to do.
So they
every
get the
year.
option.
So, yeah, we should make that cheaper, that way people that don't have $250,000 in the bank can get into this thing in a store, because again, it
In a storefront.
excludes so many
Yeah,
people.
excludes,
If you
yeah.
just do the storefront, to me, there's a lot more economic opportunity for more people with less funding than if we make the fee, assume they're gonna grow. So I just think from an economic opportunity for Arkansans, we should have a
Storefront or
different,
storefront
yeah,
cultivation or big
for
cultivation.
big
So
cultivation.
you have like 3 different markets to come in.
Yeah.
It creates that different set of tiers that
Yeah.
Dr. Ramon was mentioning, that
Yeah.
a lower overhead
Mhm.
for a pure storefront versus a dispensary plus 50 versus one of the 5 cultivators.
Oh, that's good. It allows different people
That
of
would be
different
okay.
economical.
Those kind of words, so they're gonna
Yeah.
grow in a fee, because that's expensive.
Yeah. Because then we would have to wait on Commissioner Story to tell us how much we gotta have.
Well, I mean, I think the thing that's, when we start getting into, I mean, if you look at Section 8, dispensaries, they only have to be 1,500 feet from private schools, churches, daycares, etc. We're saying cultivators have to be 3,000 feet.
Right.
So I don't know that we can change that, but I do think the way to incentivize them not to is to go down the road of saying, if you want to be a cultivator, you're going to have to start meeting those higher higher
I totally
burdens,
agree.
then we start putting that same thing in here whereas if they wanna be a storefront, maybe they don't have the performance bond, they don't have the liquidity, you know.
It's easy to clean up, just close your store and you
So can it read as such here that the applicant shall indicate whether the proposed dispensary will or will not elect to cultivate medical marijuana as allowed by the Arkansas Medical Marijuana Amendment of 2016? And something to the sense if they choose to elect, that they will have to follow those rules